The stars were calm, and the colony of New Dawn lived in peace. Families built homes on the rocky plains, children played under the artificial domes, and miners worked in the rich caverns beneath the surface. For many years, the people of New Dawn believed they were far from danger. They thought the wars of the galaxy would never touch them. But far away, in the dark reaches of space, the Zorith Empire watched. They were an old race filled with pride and arrogance. They had defeated smaller species before, and they believed humanity was no different. Their leaders wanted new resources, and the human colony looked weak. The Zorith commanders said, "Strike quickly, and the humans will beg for mercy." One cold night, the skies of New Dawn burned red. Alarms screamed as alien warships broke through the clouds. Their weapons rained fire upon the colony. Buildings collapsed, fields of crops burned, and families ran for their lives. The humans tried to fight back with small defense cannons, but their weapons were nothing compared to the alien fleet. Captain Elias Kane, leader of the colony guard, stood in the command center. His face was covered in sweat, but his voice was steady. "Send the message to Earth," he ordered. The comms officer hesitated. "Sir, the lines are failing." Kane slammed his fist. "Then use every channel. Humanity must know what happened here." The message went out, a desperate cry sent into the void. The Zorith tried to jam the signals, but one final burst of code escaped, racing across the galaxy. The survivors huddled in shelters, listening to the thunder above as the Zorith tore the colony apart. Children clung to their mothers, elders whispered prayers, and soldiers fought until their weapons ran dry. On the orbiting station, Commander Saren of the Zorith fleet laughed. "Pathetic, they crumble like dust," he said. His officers bowed, celebrati. "And their easy victory. No human fleet will dare to face us now," he declared. "This colony will serve as a lesson to all who resist." They did not know that their attack was not a lesson, but a mistake, the kind that would echo for centuries. Back on Earth, the message arrived. It was broken, filled with static, but the meaning was clear. "This is New Dawn, under attack. The Zorith have come. Do not forget us." Then silence. The leaders of Earth listened, their faces heavy with anger. Ordinary people saw the broadcast and demanded action. Across the planet, silence fell, not of fear, but of preparation. Factories that had been quiet roared to life. Vast shipyards hidden in orbit began to awaken. Deep within the oceans, sleeping war machines stirred. Humanity did not cry out for mercy. Humanity did not beg. Instead, humanity began to prepare. In the halls of the Galactic Council, alien representatives whispered, "The humans have been struck. They will not recover." Some laughed, remembering old wars where humanity struggled to rise, but there were others who looked uneasy. "Do you not understand?" one elder alien said. "Humans are not like us. They never forget. They never forgive. Once they begin to hunt, they do not stop." On the shattered colony of New Dawn, fires still burned. The Zorith believed they had won, but survivors hid in the tunnels, waiting for the day they could return. They told each other stories of Earth's strength, of fleets that once shook the stars, and of warriors who never gave up. In their hearts they carried hope. "Humanity will come for us," they whispered. Captain Kane, bleeding and weak, stood over the ruins of the command center. His uniform was torn, his weapon empty, but his eyes were full of steel. "They think we are broken," he said to the few soldiers beside him. "But they don't know what they've done. They don't know the fire they've started." Above the ruined colony, the Zorith fleet pulled back, leaving destruction in their wake. To them, it was over. To humanity, it had just begun. The galaxy did not yet know, but the attack on New Dawn was not a victory for the Zorith. It was a curse they had placed upon themselves. For in that single night, with one act of arrogance, they had awakened the hunter inside humanity, and once humanity begins the hunt, it never ends. The galaxy expected humanity to scream in anger after the fall of New Dawn. The Zorith expected threats, the Council expected begging, but none of that came. Instead, Earth grew quiet, frighteningly quiet. Across the blue planet, factories long hidden in silence came alive. Machines the size of mountains forged armor plates thicker than anything the Council had ever seen. Old shipyards opened, revealing skeletons of warships that had been waiting. Some were half-finished, others forgotten. But now every one of them roared to life. Humanity was not weeping, humanity was building. In the great halls of Earth's leadership, the commanders spoke few words. Admiral Harlan, his eyes sharp as steel, said only this: "They drew first blood. Now we answer." Around the table, no one argued, no one questioned, for all of them knew the truth. Humanity never forgives an enemy who strikes first. Messages were sent to old allies and hidden colonies. "Return home," the signal said. Warships scattered across trade routes turned and made their way back to Earth. Merchant fleets were recalled, their crews reassigned to the Navy. Scientists who had been working on peaceful projects quietly shifted to building weapons no alien had ever seen. The Galactic Council sent envoys. They demanded that Earth remain calm. They warned that retaliation would bring chaos. But every envoy returned pale, whispering the same thing. They said nothing. They only stared. One alien diplomat described it best. It was like looking into the eyes of predators waiting for the hunt. In the outer colonies, whispers began, smugs. Leers carried rumors. "Earth is waking up," they said. "The humans are not crying, they are sharpening their blades." Across cantinas and spaceports, aliens laughed at the stories, but their laughter never lasted. Deep down, fear was spreading, far from the crowded worlds, hidden deep in the asteroid belts. Black ships were rising. These were no ordinary warships. Their hulls were carved from alloys unknown to the Council. Their engines pulsed like living hearts. They bore no insignia, only one mark: an eagle of Earth, wings spread wide, claws ready to strike. On the Zorith homeworld, Counselor Vorik watched the reports with pride. "They are quiet because they are afraid," he declared. "Let them build, let them try. When we strike again, we will burn them completely." His advisors nodded, but in their hearts unease grew. They had heard of humanity's wars of old, how Earth once fought against empires greater than Zorith and survived. They dared not speak of it aloud, but fear crawled beneath their skin. Meanwhile, on Earth, children were taught different lessons, no longer about peace and unity, but about survival and vengeance. In classrooms, history lessons returned to ancient battles where humanity fought to the last breath. In training fields, young recruits marched day and night, preparing to become soldiers of a war that had not yet fully begun. Commander Elias Kane, survivor of New Dawn, was carried back to Earth half dead. Doctors saved him, but the fire in his eyes was stronger than before. He stood before the Admiralty, his voice still broken but his will unshaken. "They thought they destroyed us. They only showed us who we are, hunters, not prey." His words spread like wildfire, whispered among soldiers, repeated in barracks, painted on walls. The galaxy was waiting for humanity to speak, but Earth remained silent. Only the endless sound of shipyards echoed into the void. Each day new ships left the docks, each one larger, darker, and deadlier than the last. One smuggler who stumbled upon a secret human fleet sent a desperate message to the Galactic Council, his voice shaking. "You don't understand. I saw ships the size of cities. I saw weapons that bend light itself. They are not preparing for defense. They are preparing to hunt." But the Council dismissed the warning. They told themselves that humanity was too small, too young to truly threaten the old empires. They were wrong. Deep beneath the oceans of Earth, ancient silos opened. Within them rested weapons hidden since the first great wars, engines of destruction so terrible they had been sealed away. Now they were being awakened. One by one, they rose from the depths, shaking the seas, and still, Earth remained silent. No speeches, no warnings, no threats. The silence became louder than any words. In that silence, the galaxy began to tremble, for silence was not weakness. Silence was preparation. Silence was the sound before the storm, and when the storm of humanity finally came, the stars themselves would remember it. The Zorith believed humanity was still preparing. They thought Earth needed years before any answer could come. But humanity did not wait. Humanity never waits once blood is spilled. At the edge of Zorith space, alarms screamed. A fleet of alien patrol ships picked up strange signals. They thought it was smugglers, maybe pirates. But when the shadows emerged from the void, their blood turned cold. It was a Terran fleet, not dozens of ships, but only 12. 12 dark warships sliding out of hyperspace like predators. Their hulls gleamed black, their engines burned like silent fire. Each ship bore the Eagle of Earth, and beneath it, words etched into metal: "We never forget." The Zorith commander laughed when the reports reached him. "Only 12? Crush them," he ordered. He believed numbers would save him. He believed arrogance could shield him. The battle began, and the galaxy watched. Zorith's ship is swarmed like insects, filling the void with fire. But the human ships moved differently. They were not prey, they were hunters. Every shot they fired tore through alien armor. Every strike was precise, brutal, final. Alien officers shouted in disbelief. Their weapons cut through shields. How? Another screamed, "Our fleets outnumber them 10 to 1. Why are we losing?" But the answers never came. Only silence followed each explosion. The flagship of the Terran fleet, ISS Vengeance, led the attack. Its captain, a woman named Admiral Aria Solon, stood calm at the bridge, her eyes cold, her voice steady. "Target their command ships first. Leave no survivors." And her fleet obeyed. In less than 1 hour, the mighty Zorith defense fleet was nothing but burning wreckage. Thousands of ships scattered as debris across the stars. The survivors tried to flee, but humanity did not allow it. No retreat, no mercy, only the hunt. From the council chambers across the galaxy, ambassadors stared at live transmissions. They could not believe what they saw. 12 Terran ships crushing a fleet of hundreds. It was impossible. It was terrifying. Admiral Solon opened a channel to the Zorith homeworld. Her words were short. "This is only the beginning." Then she cut the line. On the Zorith capital, fear spread like poison. Their leaders shouted at each other in panic. "How can 12 ships do this? What are they hiding?" But no one had answers. They only had terror. Meanwhile, in the ruins of New Dawn, survivors who had been hiding in tunnels received a message. It was not from the Council, not from allies. It was from Earth. The words appeared on their cracked terminals, simple and strong. "Hold on, we are coming." Tears filled their eyes. They whispered the words again and again. Hope was reborn in the ashes. Back in the battlefield, the Terran fleet did not linger. They did no hos. To celebrate, they moved on, hunting the next target. Zorith outposts that once stood for centuries fell in days. Colonies that thought they were safe suddenly burned under Terran guns. Alien smugglers carried the stories. "The humans are not fighting wars, they are hunting," they said in hushed voices. "If they find you, you vanish, fleet and all." In bars and markets across the galaxy, fear grew. "Do not attack humanity," they warned, "or they will haunt you forever." But the Zorith still refused to believe. Their leaders claimed it was luck, claimed it was tricks. They rallied more fleets, larger fleets, they said. "We will crush Earth once and for all." Yet deep down, even their bravest soldiers feared the dark ships that moved like wolves among sheep. The Galactic Council met again. This time there was no laughter, only silence. One alien elder said, "This is not war as we know it. This is vengeance, and vengeance has no end." In the shadows of Earth's shipyards, more fleets were ready. The Terran Admiralty watched the reports of victory. Admiral Harlan whispered, "This is only the first taste. The galaxy does not yet understand what we are capable of." And somewhere beyond the stars, hidden weapons waited, even darker, even greater than what had been seen. Earth had not unleashed its full strength. It had only shown the beginning. The galaxy trembled, for humanity had struck back, and the hunt had only just begun. The Galactic Council had gathered in their grand chamber. 1,000 voices usually filled the dome with pride and arrogance, but today there was only silence. In the center of the hall, massive screens replayed the same footage again and again. 12 Terran warships tearing through fleets of hundreds. The fire, the explosions, the impossible precision. Every leader saw it, and every leader felt fear. Ambassador Thrix of the Vayari spoke first, his voice trembling. "This cannot be. No species should hold such power." The halls erupted with arguments. Some shouted that the humans must be stopped. Others whispered that it was already too late. High Chancellor Morvac of the Zorith rose, his face twisted with rage. "They are monsters," he roared. "If we allow them to continue, they will consume us all." Yet even as he spoke, his hands shook, for deep in his heart he knew the truth. It was not monsters he feared. It was vengeance. An elder of the Zellery, a species older than most empires, raised his staff and demanded silence. His voice echoed, calm and heavy. You fools, you call them monsters, but you do not understand. Humans do not forget, they do not forgive. Once you awaken their wrath, it does not fade, it grows, and once it grows, it never stops. The room fell quiet. His words carried the weight of history. Every species in the chamber remembered their own wars with humans, remembered how the Terrans survived against impossible odds. Humanity was not just another empire. Humanity was something else, something dangerous. The council debated for days. Some called for peace with Earth, begging for negotiations. But the Zorith leaders refused. They screamed that humanity was weak, that the council must unite against them. Yet none dared to send fleets. None dared to be the first to stand in the way of Earth's vengeance. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than light. Traders, smugglers, and soldiers told stories in every spaceport. Have you heard? The humans hunt like shadows. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. They only strike. In bars and marketplaces, aliens leaned close and whispered, "Never strike humanity, or you will never escape them." Back on Earth, the Admiralty remained silent. They sent no messages, made no demands. Their fleets moved in the dark, unseen, unheard, until the moment of attack. The silence of Earth was louder than any war cry, and it filled the galaxy with dread. Admiral Arya Solon stood at the bridge of the ISS Vengeance. She looked out at the stars and said only one thing to her officers. "They think we want peace. They are wrong. We want memory. We want them to remember what happens. When they strike at us," her words were recorded and carried in secret across human fleets. Soldiers repeated them in their bunks. Pilots whispered them before battle. "We want memory." The Zorith Council sent envoys to beg the Galactic Council for help. "Stand with us," they demanded. But no empire moved. They had seen the Terran hunt. They knew what would happen to anyone who joined the wrong side. Fear chained them to silence, but fear was not enough to stop the spread of humanity's wrath. Reports arrived daily, Zorith stations destroyed, supply lines cut, fleets vanishing without a trace. At first, the Council thought these were rumors, but then came the proof. Fragments of wreckage floating in space, recordings of Terran ships moving like shadows. In desperation, Chancellor Morvac screamed in the Council Hall, "We must crush them now, or we will all be their prey." But even as he shouted, none answered because they all knew a darker truth. It was already too late. The humans had started the hunt. Outside the chamber, younger species watched with wide eyes. They whispered among themselves, "The galaxy has a new law now. Never strike humanity." Some began carving those words into stone, into steel, into memory, and in the shadows of Earth's shipyards, more fleets were ready to launch, colder, darker, more terrible than before. Humanity's silence continued. The Council begged for answers, but Earth gave none. The silence became unbearable. The silence was the voice of predators waiting in the dark. The silence was the reminder of what was coming. And then, one night, a single Terran message was broadcast across the stars. No speeches, no threats, only 6 words. "We do not forgive, we hunt." The Council chamber fell into silence again. But this time it was not debate, it was fear. The Zorith thought they could hide. They scattered their fleets, moved their colonies into the shadows of nebulae, buried their outposts under ice and rock. They believed distance would save them. They believed silence would protect them. But they were wrong. The Terran fleets moved like predators through the dark. They did not march with banners. They did not announce their presence. They simply appeared again and again in the heart of Zorith space. A mining station would send a signal one night, and by morning it would be gone. Patrol fleets vanished without trace. Convoys that once traveled safely now drifted as debris in cold space. Admiral Arya Solon commanded the hunters, her voice calm, her orders sharp as blades. "No mercy, no retreat, no survivors," she said, and her words became law across the Terran Navy. Every captain, every soldier, every pilot carried the same fire in their eyes. This was not war. This was vengeance. On the bridge of the ISS Vengeance, reports came in. Station Delta destroyed, enemy fleet neutralized, 0 survivors. Admiral Solon nodded, not in triumph but in grim duty. "Proceed to the next target," she said. Humanity did not fight battles for victory anymore. Humanity hunted. Zorith commanders screamed for help. They begged the Galactic Council for fleets, but none came. No one wanted to draw the attention of Earth. The council chambers were filled with fear. Leaders spoke in whispers. If they can do this to Zorith, what will they do to us if we anger them? On distant worlds, children whispered the new legend. Never strike humanity, they said to each other. Or they will come for you, and they will never stop. The words spread like a curse, carried on every trade route, every rumor, until the whole galaxy trembled. Zorith soldiers tried to resist, but each time they raised their weapons, the humans struck harder. A fleet of 500 Zorith warships stood to fight at the Black Rift, confident in their numbers. But when the battle was over, only wreckage floated in silence. The humans lost just 3 ships. The rest returned to the hunt. Survivors told stories that chilled even the bravest hearts. They do not speak. They do not offer surrender. They appear from the void, strike, and vanish like wolves in the night. One alien officer whispered before his execution, "They are not human anymore. They are vengeance itself." On Earth, factories still roared. More ships left the docks every day, larger, faster, stronger. Humanity was not slowing. Humanity was only beginning. What the galaxy did not understand was that the first fleets were only the hunters. Behind them waited something even greater. In the shadows of deep space, humanity's black fleet spread like fire. Outposts fell, strongholds burned, fleets died. Humanity's message spread without words. It was a lesson carved in blood and steel. Meanwhile, the survivors of New Dawn were rescued. Terran soldiers descended into the tunnels and brought them out into the light. Children cried as they saw the black ships waiting for them. Safe at last, Captain Elias Kane, scarred but unbroken, stood before the rescued colonists. "This is not just for us," he said, his voice heavy with fire. "This is for every life they tried to erase. Humanity hunts because humanity remembers." His words became another legend, whispered across Earth's armies. "We hunt because we remember." The soldiers repeated it like a prayer before every battle, before every strike. The Zorith Empire began to crumble. Colony after colony abandoned. Worlds fell silent. Leaders fled, hoping to escape the hunters. But Earth's vengeance never missed its prey. One by one, the Zorith strongholds burned. The galaxy looked on in silence. None dared interfere. None dared speak, for they all knew the truth. Once humanity begins the hunt, it never ends. And yet deep in the Admiralty of Earth, the commanders looked farther. Admiral Harlan said in a quiet meeting, "We are not only teaching Zorith, we are teaching the galaxy. Never again will anyone forget. Never again will anyone dare strike first." Admiral Solon stood, her eyes cold as the void. "This is not war," she said. "This is justice, and justice will echo forever." Outside, Terran fleets prepared for the next strike. Engines burned silently, weapons glowed in the dark. The hunt was not finished. The hunt had only begun. Years passed, but the hunt did not end. The Zorith Empire that once ruled with arrogance was reduced to ruins, its fleet shattered, its colonies destroyed, its leaders hunted like animals. But still humanity did not stop. For humanity had taken an oath in fire and blood, never to forgive, never to forget. Across the stars, whispers grew into fearful prayers. Alien traitors told each other, "Do not cross them. Do not even speak against them. Humanity hunts forever." In distant academies, alien children were taught the old laws of the galaxy, but now a new law had been added, written in fear: never strike humanity. Zorith survivors fled into hiding, some into the coldest reaches of space, some beneath the oceans of distant worlds. But no place was safe. Terran fleets always found them. Silent ships would appear in the night sky, and by morning, nothing remained. It was as if the humans could smell their enemies across the void. Legends spread. Some said Terran ships were guided by spirits of the dead. Others claimed Earth had built machines that could see across galaxies. A few whispered the darkest tale, that humanity no longer fought with just flesh and steel, but with something older, something deeper, as if vengeance itself had taken shape in their fleets. On Earth, the Admiralty gathered reports. Admiral Harlan listened as commanders detailed one destroyed Zorith fleet after another. He gave no praise, no celebration, only one order: continue, Humanity was not seeking peace. Humanity was teaching a lesson written with fire. Admiral Arya Solon stood on the bridge of the ISS Vengeance, her face calm, her voice sharp. They will run, they will hide, but they cannot escape. We will remind them in every corner of the stars, humanity hunts forever. Her crew answered with a single word, forever. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, panic grew. Once they feared Zorith, but now they feared Earth. The representatives met in secret. Some demanded they unite to stop humanity. Others said to remain silent. Do not anger them, or we will share the same fate, one elder whispered. In the end, the council did nothing. Fear kept them chained. In dark corners of the galaxy, alien captains swore they had seen Terran ships where no ships should be. A shadow in the void. A hunter that waited in silence. They are ghosts, one survivor screamed. They come from nowhere, they strike without warning, and they never stop. His voice shook, his eyes wild. No one doubted him. The Zorith people began to vanish. Not just their fleets, not just their colonies, but their very name. Entire libraries erased records of them, scholars whispered. What is the use of remembering those who crossed humanity? They are gone, and speaking their name is dangerous. The Zorith were not just destroyed, they were erased. But even as the Zorith faded, humanity did not rest. Their fleets patrolled the stars, searching, hunting, their silence more terrifying than war itself. For the galaxy knew, if another dared to strike, the hunt would begin again. Among the survivors of New Dawn, children had grown into soldiers. They carried the scars of their lost world, and they carried the fire of vengeance in their hearts. One of them, a young officer named Lyra Kane, daughter of Captain Elias Kane, stood before her unit and declared, "We are not just survivors, we are the memory of vengeance, and we will never let the galaxy forget." Her words became another oath, another legend. Soon, alien children began whispering the same stories, not in fear alone, but in awe. Humanity had become something larger than life, something eternal. They were no longer just people. They were hunters written into the very stars. And so the lesson echoed across every world. Every empire knew it. Every child grew up with it, carved into their hearts. Never strike humanity. But deep within Earth's secret shipyards, even darker weapons were being prepared. Humanity knew, the galaxy watched. Humanity knew fear was growing. But Earth also knew fear alone was not enough. The lesson had to last forever. The hunt had to be eternal. And as the Black Fleet spread farther into the void, even beyond Zorith space, the galaxy realized something far more terrifying. Humanity was no longer hunting just for vengeance. Humanity was hunting for memory, and memory does not fade. Memory lives forever. The Zorith were gone. Their fleets reduced to ash, their colonies erased, their leaders hunted into silence. What began as arrogance ended as extinction. And yet, the story of humanity's vengeance had only just begun. Across the galaxy, silence ruled. Worlds that once mocked Earth now spoke of them in whispers. Merchants carved warnings into the hulls of their ships. Do not strike humanity. Children in alien academies repeated the law as if it were part of creation itself. Whole empires trembled at the thought of even angering a Terran patrol. In the council chamber, fear sat heavier than stone. The representatives no longer debated if humanity should be stopped. They debated only how long they could survive if humanity ever turned its gaze upon them. One elder spoke softly. They are not just soldiers. They are memory given life, vengeance given form. His words chilled every heart. On Earth, the Admiralty did not celebrate. No banners, no parades, no speeches. Instead, fleets were built larger, weapons stronger, humanit. He did not fight for glory. Humanity fought for remembrance, to etch into the stars a lesson that could never be forgotten. Admiral Arya Solon stood aboard the ISS Vengeance, staring into the endless void. Her officers awaited orders. Her voice was calm but heavy. It is done. The Zorith are no more, but the galaxy must never forget what they tried to do. We will be the shadow that reminds them. We will be the hunters that never sleep. Her words spread across the fleets, repeated in silence, whispered in the dark, the hunters that never sleep. From that day forward, humanity carried not just vengeance but legend. Captain Elias Kane, scarred from New Dawn, stood before the survivors who had been rescued, his voice rough but strong. Our world was destroyed, but from its ashes came fire, and that fire carried us across the stars. Let this be the lesson. To strike at humanity is to strike at eternity, and eternity will strike back. The galaxy listened, for stories traveled faster than fleets, aliens whispered in every corner of space. The humans do not end wars, they erase enemies, they erase names, they erase empires. To challenge them is to vanish from memory itself. Some dared to resist the fear, small empires boasting of strength. But when Terran fleets appeared in their skies, they surrendered without a shot. None were foolish enough to test the hunters. Humanity did not need to fight. Humanity only needed to be remembered. Soon, humanity became more than a species, more than a people. They became a warning, a law of survival, etched into the stars themselves. Even those who never saw a Terran ship felt their presence, like shadows watching from the void. In the secret halls of Earth's Admiralty, Admiral Harlan looked at the star maps. Entire sectors now marked as Terran dominion, not by claim, but by fear. This is the legacy of New Dawn, he said quietly. Not a single colony, not a single people, but the birth of a law that will last forever. And so the galaxy understood. To harm humanity was to awaken something eternal, something merciless. The Zorith had been the first example, but they would not be the last reminder, for humanity had written their vengeance into history, into legend, into the very bones of the stars. The final message from Earth spread across every channel, not with rage, not with arrogance, but with cold certainty. 6 words that ended all debate, 6 words that shaped the galaxy forever. Never strike humanity, we never stop. And so the story ended, but the lesson endured. A lesson that haunted every empire, every council, every child born beneath alien skies. The hunters of Earth had risen, and the stars themselves would never forget.